Hi friends, I'm Victoria. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today we have my September wrap up. I had an amazing reading month in September. I read 16 books and I'm not kidding, half of them were either 4.5 stars or higher. 8 of them were phenomenal. And still, apart from that, I think I only had like one flop really. And I just feel like I am making the best decisions with my book picks for this fall season. I am just so proud of myself, truly, honestly. I feel like there's nothing better when you go into spooky season with a bunch of books that hit, you know what I mean? Because pretty much every single thing I've picked has been so good and perfect for the season, and I am just so excited to go through them all and chat about them with you. Now, I will say a lot of these were in reading vlogs. I vlogged a ton this past month. Lots of vlogging, and I'll have more vlogs to come for sure, especially through Halloween-y time. And I hope you all are having an amazing spooky season so far. I got myself a little drink. It's just apple cider. It's actually apple cider, sparkling apple cider, and ginger beer. And you put it all together and it's so good, so good. Let's get into them. I'll start from the worst and work my way up to the 5 stars. So the first flop I had, and really the only flop, was This World Is Not Yours by Kemi Ashingiwa. I hope I'm saying that correctly. This is a sci-fi horror, and we're following this couple, and these two ladies, they have this very bad toxic relationship, and really that's what this book is about. It's not a sci-fi horror really as much as the synopsis makes it out to be. The synopsis says it's perfect for people that like S.A. Barnes and Cassandra Khaw, and I don't know where they got that. And I feel like this book honestly just suffered from bad marketing, because the synopsis says that we're on this planet. It's basically like these different stations are colonizing this planet and they're kind of at war against each other. But apart from that, there's this strange gooey substance on the planet, and it starts coming after them, and the planet just like wants them dead basically. And you know, you hear that and you think, wow, spooky, scary, fun, fast-paced action. No. The whole thing is about this relationship, and I was just so shocked and appalled by how little horror action we got. First 50%, basically nothing happens. We're just talking about these ladies' relationship and how, you know, things aren't going great. And then throughout the rest of the book, even when some stuff is going down, we just keep taking breaks to talk about the back and forth between them and how they are mad at each other. So I didn't like it. It didn't work for me. It's super short. I was really craving like a short little sci-fi horror read. This did not give that, but I do have one later in this video that gave it all. Gave sci-fi horror, little short snack, perfect for Halloween, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, this was my one flop. This next book, I gave 3 stars because it's just fine. In retrospect, I wouldn't recommend this to anyone. So, you know, take that or leave it, but I still gave it 3 stars. I was just like, meh. I think literally in my review, I put meh. This is Burn by Peter Heller. I read the guide by him last year, and it was just exactly the same. It was 3 star, just average. So I thought I would give him another shot. I also think he's from the Denver area perhaps, so I was like interested in that because that's where I live. But yeah, I just don't think he's right for me. We are essentially following these 2 men who have been on this hunting trip, and they haven't had signal or anything, and then once they start coming back to civilization, they realize something has happened, and it seems like a civil war has broken out. And from that premise alone, I was like, whoa, that sounds awesome, right up my alley. I think that sounds really good. But it just doesn't quite go there. It says it's dystopian and it has bewildering violence. I don't know if I would use those words, but but yeah, I mean, it was just an okay story. We're following them. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Other characters come to play, and there are a few like battle scenes where, you know, one side shooting the other and things like that, and you're wondering what the government's up to. It's more of a focus on these 2 main characters and, you know, their actions, and also going back and forth of their lives and how they're reflecting on it now that things are like going to crap. So, which normally I love. It's kind of like Station 11. I feel like it wanted to be that maybe a little bit, but no, it just didn't quite get there for me. So I gave it 3 stars. It's fine, but I would not recommend it. And we have another 3-star read that is Haunt Sweet Home by Sarah Pinsker. You can hear my dog right now, I'm sorry. Any sounds that you ever hear in the background, it's my pets. So if you're like, what is going on back there? I can't control them, I don't know. But Haunt Sweet Home sounds like it would be perfect for me as well. It's like haunted house. I love a haunting. We are following this TV show and they film, it's kind of like ghost hunters kind of thing, or ghost encounters, and they go to different homes, try to make spooky stuff happen. And yeah, we're following this girl. She gets a job. She's kind of like a runner on the TV show set, and they're in Massachusetts going to these haunted houses and filming. You know, something happens to where, oh, maybe one of these houses is haunted, perhaps. It ends up being not quite what you think it would be. And I did figure out the twist and what was going on at the 54% point, and that kind of ruined the rest of the book for me. And it's also the kind of twist and trope that I don't particularly like. So I was just not in love with it. But you know, maybe give it a whirl. It is so short that maybe you'll like it better than I did. And it's possible if you don't figure out what the twist is, you might like it more than me. So yeah. The next 3-star is Exalted by Anna Dorn. I just read Perfume and Pain by this author and freaking loved it. So I thought I would pick this up. It's kind of good for spooky season. We have like a lot of astrology talk, like in that sense, it could be good for spooky season. Also the cover looks perfect for the season too. But I read it while I was in LA because this book is set in LA, and I was like, oh, perfect. We're following 2 POVs of these women. One is 48 and she just got out of her relationship, and her girlfriend had always supported her financially, and it's kind of her going through life, and she's having to go back to waiting tables and just dealing with that. The other character is a younger girl. I want to say she's in her late 20s, and she runs a social media page called Exalted, where she posts astrology memes and different like zodiac sign stuff. And she does pretty well doing that, but she's kind of still ashamed of herself because she wants to be an actress. And we're just following these 2 women making it through life, trying to pay rent. They're starved for affection and friendship, but they're also incredibly selfish, and they don't really have the emotional capacity to build friendships and improve on their life. It's a really interesting premise. It's mostly plotless, but then there is kind of a full circle moment towards the end, and also a funny surprise that I thought was actually hilarious that I really enjoyed. But it's just kind of like one of those weird girl books where you're just like following these ladies doing whatever, being a hot mess and being problematic. I will say that there is some mental health talk in here that I don't know if it's good or not. Like, it might be offensive, I'm not sure. I just know that one of the characters has BPD and the other one has OCD, and I'm not sure if the way that it's shown in this book is like in an accurate light. So I just want to put that out there. But it was okay. I liked it. It wasn't as fun and irreverent and enjoyable as Perfume and Pain, but it's an all right read. Next, we're on to the 4 stars. We're on to the really good stuff here. And the first 4-star I have is Someone in the Attic by Andrea Mara, I'm not sure. This is a new release thriller, and we have this family in Ireland. They live in this really prestigious, secure community, and they just moved into this house, and they start seeing these videos of their home online. And so it's like someone is coming out of the attic, being creepy, spooky, and we're like, what's going on here? Are these videos real? And the woman that owns this home just had a friend who was murdered. So we're like, are these connected? What's going on? Who's to blame? Who's picking people off? And is like something sinister really going on in her house? It's a pretty good thriller. I will say the twists and turns are there nonstop. Like, they were putting me in every direction. I was questioning everyone and everything. I was questioning the kids. I was questioning the people that were dead. I was questioning everybody. And I was just truly had no idea. And I will say I wasn't in love with the twist, but the twist was good enough. And I had a really good time with this. It was so fast paced. If you're looking for a thriller to pick up and kind of fly through, I think this is a good one. Next, you might be shocked, but we have a little romance. We have a cozy romantasy. I read this more for the fantasy, of course, and the coziness, but we have witches, we have magic. Also, the romance is sapphic, so, you know, typically what I enjoy reading. We're following this witch. Her family's cursed. It's kind of like a la Practical Magic, to where if any women in the family fall in love, then the person, once like they say I love you to each other and like the love is there, the other person just totally forgets them and loses all memory of their relationship. And she is on a quest to become like a real witch. At 17, they get this thing called the calling, and she wanted to figure out how to break her curse. But instead, this one boy comes up and is like, actually, no, I want you to do my curse for the calling and figure out how to break that. The people over the witches, I am just going to call them the Ministry of Magic. They are like, well, he asked, so you have to do it. There's some kind of rule where that has to happen. So she goes on this quest for this boy who is cursed. Basically, he's a twin, and his twin that's out there, her name is Briar. She keeps sucking the magic and the life out of her brother. She has no control over it, but it's just like a family curse. And we're trying to figure out how to solve that and break it before she sucks all of the life out of her brother and he dies. And that happens when he's 18, and that's in like 8 months. So they need to get on it and solve this curse and break it. This is just cute, cozy. Romance is good. Towards the middle, I was kind of like, I don't know. I was getting a little bit bored, but then we start having these surprises and kind of like it was taking us in different directions that I didn't see going. And definitely cozy, lots of magic. They're on this airship, very much kind of like Howl's Moving Castle kind of feel. There's a story of found family and like breaking generational trauma that I really enjoyed. So if you're looking for something easy but still kind of like magical and good for the season, maybe pick this one up. The next one is Curse of the Reaper. Yes, we have a curse film book here. And that is by Brian McCauley. So this one I gave 4 stars as well. This one we're following this man who was in a horror franchise called The Reaper, and he played the part of the Reaper killing people. He's older now. He just goes to events where he takes like pictures with fans and does autographs and things like that. But come to find out, the Reaper film franchise is being rebooted and he does not get the role. And soon strange things start to happen with our man where he starts hearing the Reaper talk to him. And you're kind of wondering, is something really sinister going on with him? Like, is he being possessed by the Reaper, or is he like kind of losing touch with reality and spiraling into a serial killer? And we do end up getting some good slashing here, some good kills. It's really well written and fast paced. I liked our characters a lot. We also have the POV of the actor who is taking over the role, and I liked his character too. And there are some harsh topics in here, I will say. It does get dark at times, but it's broken up by a mixed media element where we are getting the the script of the new Reaper movie, and it's so camp, it's so funny, and I just loved that juxtaposition between the two so much. So yeah, for a cursed film horror slasher, really liked this. It stood out to me, and I feel like we've gotten so many cursed film books lately and a lot of them aren't that great, but this one's good, so maybe give this a shot. Next is a book called Tiny Threads by Lilium Rivera. I really like this. I will say there's a lot of like fashion, like design, and just kind of like branding talk within it, but which I love because I have a degree in fashion merchandising. But so basically we're following this girl, Samara, as she moves from New Jersey to the LA area. She's outside of LA, and she moves there for a new job position where she pretty much has become like brand director at a fashion company. And we're watching her in this new job and kind of spiraling as she is dealing with the pressure and also dealing with the grief of her grandmother that recently passed away. And things start to happen with her. She starts seeing things and hearing things in her apartment, and she's really just like losing touch with reality and does not know what's going on. All the while they're working towards a fashion week and a huge fashion show, and she has so much pressure on her. There's a lot of commentary here. Like the commentary I loved. We have it around race, class, capitalism, and I just thought this was so good. And I will say, it is kind of a slow burn. It might take a while to really get into. And a lot of the downtime in the book is talking about like the fashion industry and just like her work. And I have a degree in fashion, so I enjoyed this. But for other people, it might not be as entertaining, but I liked it. And I feel like it went in a cool area in the end. It didn't get as wild and scary as I hoped it would, but still overall a good time. Also very harsh and dark and tragic. So be ready for all the triggers here. Okay, everything else that's left is 4.5 stars or higher. I had so many books that were almost 5 stars, so close, still very good, but just slightly missed the 5-star feeling a little bit, but still, wow, I had so much fun reading this month. Such a good month. And the first 4.5 star is Here Lies a Vengeful Bitch by Cody Crowley. I've talked about this in another video. I have a vlog up with this as well. Following this girl, she's been murdered, unfortunately, and she is a ghostie now. So she's living life as a ghost, and she's trying to figure out what happened to her the night of her murder, who's to blame, and is trying to get back at them and get some revenge. It does end up being a fun, good for her story. I just really liked how it ties in a lot of like deep topics, but also funny elements too. Like in some parts it kind of felt like Beetlejuice, because we are following like a lot of different ghosts, and they have like a phone line where they can like call to the ghost undead people and ask questions, which is really funny. The final bit of the book is on Halloween night, and there is a Halloween ghost masquerade ball. So yeah, love that element as well. There are some surprisingly good horror elements and scenes in here. And yeah, overall, I love a good horror story. Oh, hi Remy. And I think it's a really perfect spooky season read. It's fall in the book. There's leaves, there's a corn maze, and ghosts. So why not? And speaking of ghosts, my next 4.5 star is Ghost Roast by Chanel Gibbs. This was so cute, cozy, wholesome. It's a graphic novel, perfect for the spooky time. We're following this girl. Her dad has a ghost hunting business, and they are in New Orleans, and she gets in a little bit of trouble. She goes to a cemetery with some buddies and underage drinks, and they get caught. So as punishment, she has to help her dad and work with him over the summer. And they end up going to this large estate, and it's haunted, and Remy doesn't like the stuff on the screen. He's trying to catch the ghost, and he's all right. And they end up going to this estate. It is haunted. And our girl, she can actually see and speak to ghosts. And it's kind of like her trying to figure out the mystery of this ghost boy that she's seeing. And then also her dad trying to rid the house of the ghosts. And it's just really fun, wholesome. There's a bit of commentary here too that I really loved. And yeah, just a cute, cozy time. It's just a cute, nice little like middle grade YA read. The next 4.5 star is A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. Now, this is a horror fantasy. It's a retelling of a Grimm's Brothers fairy tale called The Goose Girl. And we are following this girl and her mom. And her mom is not good. Her mom's kind of like a torture, horrible sorceress, mean lady. Really awful. And her mom is kind of like concocting this plan to marry this wealthy man, and the man's sister is kind of like, no, like I know something's up with you, like you seem strange and obviously just want to marry for money, and your poor daughter seems traumatized and like something's wrong with her. It's kind of like this lady and the daughter coming together to try to defeat the mom. And I mean, this lady is a horrible villain. I think this did such a good job at painting a bad villain for us, because I was so invested in them taking her down. I was like, yes, get rid of her. She's got to go. That's how I felt. And yeah, the magic element is fun. I love the idea of we end up in this like manor estate, and the atmosphere is really good. Yeah, it's just like a really dark story, witchy story. It really ends up being a story about domestic abuse, but the character of the man's sister, where she's like trying to help defeat this sorceress, she is such a funny, sweet, and really caring character that I love so much. I loved how she kind of made the book feel cozy, even though the book overall is like really dark. Yeah, it's kind of like the perfect fall read, as is Most Tea Kingfisher, and I definitely recommend it, especially if maybe you haven't read a ton of fantasy and you're more of a horror person. Like, maybe give us a try, maybe give it a go. This was really the month of fantasy for me. I read quite a few, which is surprising. The next 4.5 star is Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Poranek. So this one, we're following this girl and she can do magic, and her whole family, everyone is like so terrified of the fact that she has this gift, and she's scared of it herself. So she ends up going into the woods to try to track down this fern flower. And there is this flower where if you find it and you make a wish, it'll grant you that one wish. And she goes into the woods trying to find the flower to ask for it to take her magic away. And in that, she stumbles across this huge manor where the demon of the woods lives. And he's like, you know, what are you doing here? Do you want to die? Like, what's up? And she ends up having to make a deal with him to basically live. And the deal is that she'll work there, help him out for a year, and then he will take away her magic. And what ends up happening is kind of cozy, sweet. There is a romance, and surprisingly, I liked the romance in it. I thought it was not cheesy, or like there wasn't any longing or like silly communication stuff. Like, it was really just them kind of like realizing, oh, we like each other, and that's that. So I thought the romance was good. And yeah, the atmosphere here is killer. The home itself, like the manor in the woods, they kind of have a mind of their own. They're able to open their own like doors into like these fantasy worlds and things like that. So cool. And the food talk, everything, just so good. It feels like a Studio Ghibli movie. It's like Howl's Moving Castle mixed with Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke, because we do get some good like action fighting scenes in the end. But it's like that mixed with an 80s dark fantasy, like Dark Crystal or Labyrinth or Willow or something like that. I just love the atmosphere so much, and the story was really good. I love the ending. I got a little teary at the end. I did not expect that. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one, and it was so close to a 5-star for me, like so close. But yeah, I really loved it. And if you're looking for a new fantasy, maybe give this a try. The next 4.5 star, also so close to a 5-star, is We Used to Live Here by Marcus Klewer. This has been everywhere. Essentially, we're following this couple. They have moved into this home and they're gonna flip it. And one day someone knocks on the door and he is with his family, and he's like, I grew up here. I would love to show my family around. Like, just give me 15 minutes and I'll have a quick look-see and we'll be out of your hair. And I don't want to go too far into it, but one of his kids kind of goes missing, and then things kind of start to spiral, and this goes to another area where you would never think it would go. It's so good. I have a reading vlog with this. I loved it. It scared me. It actually scared me. I should just give this 5 stars. But I do think that the first half of the book was a bit scarier than the second half, but there were a couple of scenes in particular in the attic where I was like, oh my gosh, that's so scary. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this. It gets weird, it gets trippy. It's kind of like a mix of Donnie Darko, Skinamarink, and the others just blended together. It ends up getting trippy and weird, and you know, I love when things end up getting weird. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. So yeah, I'm sure you've seen it. It's been everywhere. It's great. Pick it up. Next is another new release, and it's a YA horror, and that is Such Lovely Skin by Tatiana Schlott-Bahn. I hope I'm saying that name correctly. So this one, we're following this girl, and her family has just gone through a tragedy. Her little sister has passed away, and our main character basically is saying it's her fault, and she hasn't told anyone what actually happened with her little sister. And she's a Twitch streamer, and she downloads this new game, and the NPC in the game asks her, hey, tell me a secret. And she ends up telling the NPC the truth about how her sister died. And then in doing that, she starts getting hunted down by the video game. The video game pretty much creates a mimic that looks just like our main character and starts screwing up her life, her family's life, her friend's life, everyone, and really just ruining things. Like, it escalates to a point that I was shocked and appalled by. Like, even at the 30% point, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gotten so wild so fast. The horrors there, the talk about grief is really good. And I could have sobbed at the end of this book, honestly. Like, I was on a ferry reading the end of it, and otherwise I would have probably been sobbing if I was at home. I was really struggling. I was like, hold it together, you're in public. And really the only downfall I had was I felt like the ending was a little bit simple, like how things wrapped up, but still I kind of understood it in the whole overarching story of grief and the metaphor there. But yeah, super good, definitely spooky. If you love like early 2000s horror, it has that feel, like The Ring and Stay Alive, like it really does feel like that, and I loved reading it for that. There's also some scenes with like the video game gameplay and like walking through that I thought was really fun. But yeah, just a fun, really unique take on horror, and I loved it. Alrighty, everyone, we're down to my 5 stars. I had 2 5 stars, even though so many of these were so close to being a 5-star. But my first 5-star is Midnight Rooms by Danya Coles. I love this book. The reviews are mixed, and I'm like, what's going on here? This book needs to find the right people, because this book, phenomenal. This is a gothic horror where we're following this girl. She's mixed, she's half black, half white, and her uncle basically marries her off to this man to settle some debts. He's like, I'm done with you, I'm getting rid of you, and yeah, you gotta go marry this man, like, now. And but she thinks, wow, you know, she's like 26, we're in the 1840s, I think, and she's like, well, you know what, I haven't had any suitors. I don't know what else to do. At least I'll be marrying into a wealthy family and then going to a nice home. Like, you know, it could be worse. And she ends up going to this house. This house, hot mess. This house is huge. It could be beautiful, but it has not been kept up with at all. It is decrepit. It's gross. There's a mold problem. And we soon find out strange things start happening to her. She is falling asleep a lot. She's losing touch with time. She's being covered in bruises, and she's finding like secret hallways and doors in this home, and strange things just start happening all around. And we do kind of have like a weird romance within, because she does marry this man, and he seems like a super nice man. And there are some spicy scenes with them, just so you know. I actually thought that they were pretty good, so, you know, there's that. But I was interested in this weird relationship between them, and also just the mystery of this house. But I will say, something happens. Yes, first 50%, gothic horror, standard. Second 50%, weird time, trippy, you're questioning everything, no answers for anything, you don't know what's going on, it gets weird, and you know I love that. So I freaking love this book. It turned into just like a kind of like weird, surreal, mind-bending fever dream of a book, and it totally like flipped the script on the gothic horror element, and I loved it so much. I thought it was fantastic. If you are into horror but also weird stuff, give us a go. I loved where it went. I love the ending. I feel like it kind of leaves you with a couple of questions, and which I'm okay with. And yeah, I can't recommend it enough. A really, really amazing time. And my next 5-star and my last book of the month is William by Mason Coyle. Y'all recommended this to me. Thank you so much to those of you that did, because wow, I loved this so much. Fast-paced, me questioning everything. What is going on in this house? I'm getting carried away. This one is a sci-fi horror. We're following this man. He's kind of become a hermit, and he's living in this home. He's an engineer. He has created this robot named William. And his wife is pregnant, and she decides to invite some people over for dinner. And, you know, he hasn't really been around a lot of people because he's been scared to go outside. He's agoraphobic a little bit. And she's trying to, you know, make steps to help him be more comfortable with people, and then hopefully be able to go outside, because she's gonna have a baby soon, and like she's like, I need you at the hospital kind of thing. And in his awkwardness in trying to have conversations with the people at dinner, he brings the robot William out to meet them. And then things start to go down with William real quick. This robot, some things are going on with him, and people start getting picked off. It's so good. It escalates so quickly. The action happens so fast, and this has a twist that is the twist of all twists. I did not see it coming. I loved it so much. I was thrilled. Like, when I was reading it, I was literally just like, my face was like this. What? I was so shocked and appalled. So yeah, the twist killer. I love the whole story. The ending, phenomenal. If you're looking for a Halloween read, pick this up. It's super short. It is set on Halloween night, so we have that as well. The Halloween element is slim. They talk about it at the beginning and near the end mostly, but it's still there. It still has a Halloween element. So it's literally perfect for the Halloween weekend. So please read it this month. And yeah, thank you so much for recommending it because I loved it. It was so good. But yeah, that's my final book. I read 16 in September. It was a really good reading month. I didn't have as many 5 stars as August, but I had so many so close to 5-star reads, and I just had such a great time. And so many of these are just good for the fall season in general, and I hope you found some that might spark your interest a little bit. But if you read any of these, let me know, and if you have read any of these, let me know your thoughts because I love to chat about it. But thank you so much for being here. If you like bookish content, please subscribe. I have a lot of vlogs up with these books in them already and some more to come, so be on the lookout for those. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. That helps me a lot. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a nice, spooky rest of your day.